Colonel Festus Abuaje. I had an opportunity to first meet him not too long ago. My colleague Francis had, worked with him. Many of you know Francis. And Francis, I was, on my way to the office one day, and Francis says, Anne, you've been working on this peace and security agenda. And he says, you know what? There's a very important person you must meet. Colonel Festus Abuaje. Do kindly open the meeting for us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's warmly welcome Colonel Festus Abuaje.
Good morning once again, Excellencies, Generals, Directors, and Executive Directors, all protocols observed. So in this report that is going to be presented, it is put very early on about the role of children in society. The reality is that all men and women in uniform, especially the military, are trained to kill when deployed in peace support operations, and I hope that is the narrative, or deployed in peacekeeping, to be able to use their skills in killing to protect vulnerable populations, especially children. In the document, I've at least seen the word protocol. One of the protocols could be positive identification, to inculcate in the soldier that, yes, your purpose is to kill the enemy there. But in modern conflict, intrastate, the actors do not respect international norms and therefore recruit children. Once again, thanks to the organizers, especially my friend and brother, Francis Onditi, for inviting APSTA, not me, to be part of this process. I wish to assure you that APSTA will be willing and ready to work with SCI because we're working towards a common objective. And I look forward to further interactions because I'm also here to learn at the end of the day. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you, Generals, Directors, all protocols observed. Thanks a lot.
I'm building so much on issues to do with the multidimensionality of the current engagement in peace support operation, where we look at the context of child protection, especially those who are exposed to armed conflict. You will also realize that in this particular presentation, we were not really intending to point fingers, but we were trying to look at, in terms of tools, how are our tools in terms of protecting children. A lot of opportunities in terms of people are getting training, yes. I mean, we have all these kind of opportunities in terms of resources. We have the regional bodies willing to offer their political will to humanitarian agencies. There is also the multidimensionality that Colonel was mentioning in the morning. We are aware that the Constitutive Act of AU has actually transformed, intervention from military to multidimensional. So that is existing. The interest is how then do we collaborate? How then do we work on the flip side of the negatives? Because we obviously agree that we have efforts that have been done. We have people who have committed themselves to making sure that children structures are developed, institutions are built to have our children protected, particularly those who are exposed to armed conflict. So let's ponder over this.
As everyone this morning has mentioned, this is not work that we can do alone. The assessment itself was really targeting the security and defense forces that we have been working with for the past 10 years across East, Central, and West Africa, and very, very importantly, still in partnership with the standby forces that we are currently working, the International Bureau of Children's Rights, who are so experienced in the development of training material, but very importantly, try and establish our database that we need to carry this work forward. As much as we had a lot of positives, a lot of figures, 100% of everyone that was part of the assessment confirmed that they had new perspectives and information on children in armed conflict. 40% of the respondents said that the skills training on monitoring and reporting of children's situations was either adequate or poor. The numbers were also very low in the assessment of participants' capacities to identify critical child protection issues as a related skill. Everything that we are talking about in this assessment also paves way into what we have planned for the next few years. And that's another reason that we have such a dynamic group of people in this room today.
On behalf of Save the Children, then, I am privileged to welcome you all to Nairobi and to the launch of the assessment report. So Save the Children have been a pioneer in training security and defence forces since 1998, on child protection specifically, and during this time have built the capacity of approximately 100,000 troops within our regions. This report is the first in its kind for Save the Children in presenting behavioural change within security and defence forces and capturing the voices of those previously trained through recommendations generated from focus group discussions. So I do hope that this will not only be information, this will not only be a report that is read, maybe even just executive summary, but this will be a report that will speak of evidence of change behaviour. Thank you.
What problems do you consider to be the most difficult to overcome relating to children in armed conflict? And why? In what ways could training for service personnel be better used to address the problems? I would like these questions to be for all of us.
It is rather easy to step on the plane in Addis, to go to Nairobi. It takes about 1.5 hours to fly. Some wants to fly in business class. That's also a problem. And then to come here. It's easy, it's comfortable, and we are, discussing the same issues over and over and over again. But to go out in the field and start applying what we have been studying, assessing, etc., that's very, very difficult. But the thing is, how can we go from the classroom, from the conference halls, into the field and start making use of all the knowledge that everyone has?
Issues of procurement of huge arms in our countries when we are at peace. That is a problem. So the issue is, can we have a vision or future for African countries so that we don't procure these arms unnecessarily, so that when we know we are going to have conflict or violence, the arms are easily accessible. I want to end by saying the lesser arms we have, the lesser conflict we'll have in Africa. Thank you.
Some of these programs are funded with donor funds. The same donors fund the same programs. You see, so you write a proposal, I write a proposal, the other person writes to the same donor. So there is competition to access funding. The core funding should not be allowed to come from outside. If it does, then you lose your own what? Your own ownership. And you can't dictate the pace of where you want to go.
We cannot harmonize any form of training, including child protection, by individual regional approaches, because invariably the mandate will come from the African Union, albeit that some regs say that they have the right to mandate their own deployments. But there is more gravitas if it comes from the AU. So the AU should be the lead in synergizing, coordinating the efforts among the respective regions in developing harmonized programs.